This is our tomato experiment for January winter sowing. Hey friends, Mary here from Garden Adventures, and today we are going to be winter sowing tomato plants. Yay, tomatoes! It makes me think of spring, summer, when I talk about starting tomatoes. So I have my 4 milk jugs in front of me. We're going to be doing the winter sowing method, and I'm starting indoors with some of the prep because it's chilly out and I tend to forget things when I start getting cold outdoors. So I thought I would do some of the prep indoors, and then we'll go outside to finish, tape them up, and put them out. You can do the entire process indoors, but the reason I like to go outdoors to actually sow the seeds, once they're sown, you want them outdoors quickly. You don't want them to start, warming up and thinking they need to sprout because they're indoors and the soil's warm and all that stuff. But it is easier to work with the soil when it's frozen outside and your soil is going to freeze outside. It's easier to work with it indoors. So I've got the soil pre-moistened downstairs in a bucket. I will fill up the jugs and then we will head outside. I did want to talk about the seed varieties, so let me grab the seeds. A couple of things. So I labeled the jugs T1, T2, T3, T4, and I will add these to my list of winter sown containers. And T1 will be beefsteak tomatoes. And these are from Fairy Nursery. I bought these last year, so these are leftover seeds. I have probably 25 or more seeds left in here. These are an 80-day to harvest. So the reason I'm kind of labeling these differently is I do want to do a tomato experiment. I want to compare indoor seed starting to winter sown seed starting with tomato plants specifically. So I am purposefully starting tomato seeds in January. I did do this last year. It works. You can sow tomato seeds in January in winter sown containers and put them out. I just want to compare, I do believe, so here's my hypothesis. I believe that indoors my seeds will start sooner. I believe that the winter sown containers will germinate later, but will end up resulting in a hardier plant. So I have a feeling that the winter sown will be a hardier plant and will start producing tomatoes sooner, even though it germinates later. That's my hypothesis. I would like to know if that's true. And I will also be testing the yield of tomatoes. So I'm going to really try to weigh every tomato that is grown in the different varieties. So back to seeds. T1 beefsteak tomatoes, 80-day variety. T2 is Liberty Garden. So cherry tomato, let's see how many are in here. It looks like there's probably 15 seeds in here, so that's a good start for this season. Starting outdoors, it has a 65 to 90-day maturity. If you started indoors, it's 45 to 65. So that'll be interesting if we land on 65 days for either, because that's kind of the range. 45 to 65 indoors, 65 to 90 outdoors. This will be an interesting one to experiment with. Okay, T3, certified organic by Mafka. It's a hybrid grape tomato, and there are only 15 seeds in here. And good-hearted tomatoes are also, there's also 15 seeds in here. This is considered a cocktail tomato. They're a little bit bigger than a grape tomato, a little smaller than a cherry tomato. I've heard excellent things about the flavor of these. I'm excited to try them myself. I've never tried these. Transplant to harvest is 65 to 72 days. So that is if they are started indoors. So again, we will kind of measure some of those things with winter sowing. So these I will start 3 seeds today. I'll start 3 seeds of each of them, but I am using the milk jugs because tomatoes do tend to get a little bit bigger. I want them to have enough room, enough headroom, and I Honestly, still kind of favor milk jug as my preferred method of starting, but you can start them any way you would like in winter sowing containers. So let me get the soil, we'll get outside and go from there. Hey friends, before we sow our seeds, I just want to review. Winter sowing is a method of seed starting outdoors in the winter months in a container so that seeds can germinate in the springtime. I'm using milk jugs in this particular instance. You can go back to my guide, I'll link it below. You can take a look at the full guide and other containers that you can possibly use. We have some sort of a container that allows moisture in and ventilation, and there are drainage holes in the bottom of the container to allow moisture to escape. Labeling your containers is extremely important. T1, T2, T3, T4 is my method. I've already written them down. T1 is beefsteak, T2 is cherry, T3 is hybrid grape tomatoes, and T4 are the good-hearted tomatoes. And I'm going to sow 3 seeds in each. And so we're starting January, February, March, and then indoors as directed by the seed packets. Got way more than 3 in my hand. Three spots. Okay. Beefsteak tomato. Let's close that up. Okay, so I'm just gonna make sure they're closed, and then I'll come back and if I can. Since I'm running out of duct tape, I'm just putting a piece of tape to make sure they're not even closed. Look at this slacker that I am. There we go. Okay. Next up, T2 cherry tomatoes. 3 spots, 1, 2, 3, and I'm just trying to make a depression. I'm not trying to bury the seeds. T3 are the grape tomatoes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Again, I'm not pressing them down into the soil. I'm just making sure there is contact. This one I definitely need to come back with another piece of tape. Just have to reseal. Okay, now the good-hearted tomatoes are from Proven Winners. Oh, we had a Proven Winners tag that was in the way. But hey, we're gonna put that in there. There we go. Okay, so same thing, I'm just pressing so I know where to put the seed. I just want a little divot, so the seed has a place to land. And again, just making sure that it has good contact with the soil, not pushing it into the soil. If you are in a climate that has experienced temperatures above 60 degrees already, you definitely want to start monitoring your seedlings to see if you can possibly plant them out. You want to plant out seedlings that have 2 to 3 sets of true leaves. Even if they're little, that's okay. Remember, they grew up outdoors. They've already acclimated. There's no hardening off period. You can go ahead and put them in the garden. If your garden space isn't ready, you just want to be mindful of monitoring your container, whatever container they're in. If it's getting above 50 degrees during the day, you want to check and make sure they're not getting too warm inside their little container. You may need to open it up. You may need to move it to a shadier location. You really need to monitor water at this point. So anytime it's above 35 degrees and the sun is out, you definitely want to check it for water. So that goes for all of us across the board. But those of you in the warmer climates that again are experiencing warmer days and your outlook looks, pretty warm, you can go ahead and start planting out. Again, if you have a space available, you may have prepped a space and you have the garden spot ready for those flowers and you can go ahead and start working that soil, then you can plant them out. If they're not quite ready, you can leave them in their containers. So if you don't have a spot along, it's okay, they are hardy, and just you want to be mindful again of sunlight and water. So keep them in their containers, but be mindful of those two things. And you should be okay. When you're ready to plant out, just go ahead and do that. All right, guys, that is going to do it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will make sure that I continue to give you updates on our tomato planting project. And I hope to do a compilation video at the end of the year to just kind of pull it all together, but I'm gonna bring you along the entire journey with these tomatoes. I'm excited to see them grow. That's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Our winter sown January tomatoes are out in the garden. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give me a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much.